Welcome back. That was highlights from one of the golf events that was played at the weekend. Because it's all about esports, just playing gaming online. We have the president, Esports Nigeria, Emmanuel Oyelakin. He's right here in the studio. Good morning, and it's good to have you here.
Good morning. It's good to be back again.
Yeah.
Nice one. The last time it was really okay. The focus wasn't really on it. We were still enjoying football on the field, basketball on courts, tennis, and all that. But almost every sport, not almost, all the sports. Okay, I haven't seen horse racing. But I've seen chess, I've seen football, I've seen basketball, I've seen even
esports.
athleticism. I've even seen some people actually trying to do some virtual athleticism, like track and field, like cycling and all that, and everyone is going virtual. And this is MotoGP, Formula One, and everything. And this is your time. What are we doing in Nigeria?
Okay, so for obvious reasons, there has been a slowdown in these sports activities, in Nigeria. And I'm talking about the physical activities. But you also have to remember that it's esports, it's electronic, and we always have been playing online. So whether or not we're able to congregate physically at a location, it doesn't stop us from playing our games. Even before the lockdown took place, games have been happening online. And I can tell you that this time has actually been a time for esports to actually prosper, and do really well, because you don't have the traditional sports anymore. So everybody's looking for something else that will give them fun. And the closest you can get is electronic games.
Right.
And there are sports games that actually mimic what you have out there. Talk about football, racing, even boxing, WWE, tennis, and all of those. So in Nigeria, there hasn't been a stoppage to the online games. So the online games are still happening.
Still going well. Okay,
yes.
Fantastic. Yeah, but obviously, it's thriving all over the world. The numbers are increasing. Gaming platforms are announcing record numbers. What about Nigeria? Like, would you say that your numbers have increased in terms of online gaming? The people that actually, coming into it, numbers have increased?
Yeah, I can tell you that, yes, that number has increased. And you could tell from the webinar on Saturday when the sports minister actually talked about Nigeria going fully into esports. And so the kind of attention that esports has been receiving in Nigeria actually skyrocketed, with everybody now wanting to have a part in esports. And also, if you look at the fact that the English Premier League also is not running anymore, and then they have resorted to the E-Premier League.
Right.
FIFA is doing the same. And so everybody is seeing a substitute for the game that they love so much. And so the attention on Nigeria also is increasing. And I know I was on a show earlier on in the week. The discussion was about esports, And also, we have a couple of esports programs coming up in Nigeria. There's one coming up for Lagos State. There's one coming up for the entire Nigeria. So it just shows you that the amount of awareness that people had previously for esports has skyrocketed. And so nationwide now, the buzzword is esports. Everybody wants to do esports to kill the time because of the absence of the traditional sports.
Interesting indeed. So the interest has definitely grown. And we'll talk more later about how to sustain that interest. But you mentioned the sports minister. Let's listen to him now, what he has to say about the potential of esports in Nigeria.
We must also begin to look at how we categorize presence and non-present sports and explore how we can deepen interest in sports that lend themselves to e-participation, particularly the esports and gaming sector. The esports, as of 2019, was a 167 billion industry. The ministry is about concluding plans to introduce the esports and gaming as part of the sporting activities in this country, where people that have passion for different sports can make money. It is time, and the time is no better than now for Nigeria to plug into the esports world as it is.
You're welcome back to Channel Sport this morning. We still have the president of Esports Nigeria, Emmanuel Oyelakin, in the studio, talking about everything that has to do with electronic sports. Emmanuel, before we went on that break, we're listening to the minister talk about how it's time to embrace esports, especially post-COVID, post-pandemic, and all of that. But for you, you've been, around doing your thing for a while now. What do you think will be the greatest challenge for sustaining this new found interest in esports?
First and foremost, it was a big victory for esports that the minister came out and endorsed it. Okay. Not just endorse, but actually make an official announcement about Nigeria going fully into esports. So it gives a lot of hope to the millions of gamers that we have in Nigeria that are looking to pursue esports and gaming as a full-time career. And we are very hopeful that there will be programs that will come from the ministry in this regard. And also, we see a trend coming up where the government will officially back esports activities in Nigeria. Now, talking about the challenges, well, some of them are...
So in terms of government backing, that's looking good right now?
It's looking good, yes.
Okay, so let's talk about the other challenges now.
Other challenges will include funding. We need the private sector to also come in. Esports is expensive because you need to buy equipment, you need bandwidth, very good one, if you have to play online, and these things don't come cheap. So we need the private sector to come in. We need telcos to partner. We need financial institutions to also partner and support the budding industry. It's a huge one, and I think it will be a good time for them to support at this time, looking at the fact that we have millions of young people, and this is a new industry that is coming up. If you want to compare that vis-a-vis the movie industry and the music industry, you see how many young people are in those industries. It's the same thing that can be achieved also with the esports industry. So it will be a good time for these guys to come in and support
now,
it.
have you started anything towards that? So talking about corporate bodies, wanting to identify with it, and which of the sports are the youth, the ones that are playing right now, really, really good at? The ones that you feel the people really want to identify with? There's football, the most popular, the FIFA and all that, then the NBA, the basketball, and of course you also have tennis. So which of the ones is really thriving right now?
Okay, I'm talking about the private partners that we have spoken with. We've spoken to a couple of them. We've spoken to a couple of financial institutions. We've spoken to 1 or 2 telcos, and the discussions are still ongoing. And in time, of course, there will be a revelation of the outcome of those discussions. Talking about the popular games that Nigerian youth like, don't go too far. The default answer, FIFA. Everybody loves football. But there is a but there, because we are beginning to see another trend. Because you can only play FIFA, you can play FIFA on many platforms, on PC, on mobile, and on console. But people are more comfortable playing on console. So you see more players, on console than on the other platforms. But then, because of the penetration of mobile phones in Nigeria, everybody virtually has a mobile phone. And because of the competition among telcos, data prices are crashing. And so everybody is able to have substantial data on their devices that they can use to play online. So beginning to see a lot of people, the community, mobile community, begin to enlarge. And so the popular games today, of course, the ones that are mobile, will be games like PUBG Mobile, Call of Duty Mobile, Brawl Stars, Clash Royale, and some of those other games. So in Nigeria, those are the top games. PUBG Mobile, COD Mobile, Clash Royale, Brawl Stars, and a few others.
But those are the main ones. That's just game. What about the sports? Those are games. Yeah, for sports.
Yeah, it's because FIFA already. FIFA
no, outside the FIFA, I'm talking about the sports and focus in sport.
Right.
You mentioned gaming. I mean, the 4, 5 you mentioned, they're all gaming, and it's different from sports. It's not the same thing. So my point is, what about the sports aspect of it, apart from I know what you're talking about, the shooting, driving.
Oh, are you talking of simulated sports games?
Precisely.
Okay. Some of the popular ones will be, of course, FIFA #1.
Yeah.
And then you would have basketball. NBA 2K, that's what it's called, 2K20. And then some people play WWE, some play, there's MMA, mixed martial arts, that you can also play, on your game. There is tennis, there's Mario Tennis. And recently, Facebook Gaming organized an event like that, and we had the likes of Maria Sharapova, Serena Williams, Steve Aoki, come online, to play that game. So we see deeper interest, not just in Nigeria, but globally. And I'm talking about that also, like I said before, the English Premier League, we had the E-Premier League. In the second season now, first season was won by Diogo Jota of Wolves, and the second season by James Maddison of Leicester. There's this club also called Leyton Orient. They're not so popular in England, but they organized a tournament called Ultimate Quarantine. And they had about 128 teams from all over the world, South America, from Europe, from America, from Asia, take part in that event. And also talking about basketball, there was a game that was cancelled, in the NBA, Phoenix Suns and Dallas Mavericks. rather than not play that game, they went online, you know, and it was quite interesting. We also had the instance of the Sevilla derby, where Sevilla and Real Betis were meant to play, but the game was cancelled before the lockdown took place in Spain. Guess what? 60,000 fans, you know, attended that game virtually, of course, yes, you know, on Twitch, you know. So Twitch, these broadcast streaming channels also have been seeing a surge in people who go online to watch games and who go online to stream. The likes of YouTube, Mixer, the likes of Twitch. And Nigerians are not also taking the back seats. We're beginning to see an increased number of streamers, of content creators, who are also using these channels to also put some of their works online for the Nigerian public to see.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I think you mentioned it earlier already. If you're looking at the gaming, you know, software, you know, segments that you have, there's the PC, there's the console, there's the mobile. Which one do you think Nigeria is better suited to right now? Like, which one do you think would thrive the most, considering all the, you know, environmental, you know, factors?
Before now, console has been king. And when I say console, I'm talking of PlayStation.
Yeah.
You know, Xbox, you know, is also there, but not as much as PlayStation. But when you look at the number of those who own consoles compared to those who have mobile phones, you know, console, maybe a few thousand, hundreds of thousands, if millions, you know. But for mobile phones, several millions, you know, maybe 20, 25, if not more, you know, because as at last year, 2019, our online population in Nigeria was 138 million, you know, and I'm not saying gamers, but of course, I'm sure a large chunk of those 138 million are gamers. So these guys are going online. So we're beginning to see a trend where mobile is becoming king. There was an event that ended like 2 or 3 weeks ago called the La Coupe d'Africana. You know, it's a PUBG event. It was so big that even Tencent Africa acknowledged the event and promised to send presents, you know, to the winners. We had over 900 teams from all over Africa take part in that event. Over 5,000 players from all over Africa, you know, were in those 900 teams, you know. So it tells you that mobile is king. If it was console, we probably wouldn't have had that large number of players take part in that event. So mobile is the best. Yeah, we're most suited for mobile at the moment.
Okay. So the focus of your federation should be on the mobile, on how to actually bring in more people to play.
We don't want to leave any community behind. Okay. So console, yes. Xbox, yes. PC, yes. Mobile, yes.
Okay. What, is there any? You said you have some tournament that you've organized before. Is there any one that's currently going on now?
Plans are in place for. There's one that should commence, I think, next week. I'm aware that the Lagos state government is trying to commence a program like that also to engage young people.
You're not partnering with them, or?
We are, of course, yes. Okay. And then again, if you check what the sports minister has been doing of late, he's been making programs available for young people to be able to learn digital skills. You know, and of course, esports also is totally digital. So we anticipate that in the coming days, there will also be a program in that space for young people to learn, you know, how to go into gaming, what are the, you know, what is there to learn, what are the skills they can acquire, you know, at this time that maybe they're unable to go to school or they're unable to be at work, you know, but they can learn those skills. And then by the time the lockdown is removed completely, everybody is, you know, at a good place with esports and gaming.
When this is all over, I mean, after the pandemic, will esports still be there? Will it still be thriving? Post-COVID era, let's look at that now.
Post-COVID, esports will come out even way stronger than it is right now.
Why do you think so?
I say that because before now, there has been a lot of focus, especially in Nigeria, on playing in a physical location. Of course, there has been online gaming also, but now it is strictly online. You know, due to the guidelines from the government, you can't congregate, you know, social distancing. Nobody's going to a physical space to play. So online gaming has been thriving. It will thrive even more. And then, post-COVID, of course, you will agree with me that our lives have been changed forever.
Yes.
Things may never be the same again. So online gaming will keep growing stronger. And then also, by the time you announce a physical event, of course, because of the awareness that we have now, people will come out in large numbers, you know, to be a part of those events.
Emmanuel, I saw a report just before I came on today that the virus might just be endemic and it's not going to go away. And we're going to have to coexist with it. And like I said, that's good opportunity for esports to continue to thrive. Of course, it's well documented how how much gains they have been counting esports, Switch, Nintendo, Microsoft, record numbers. But what have they? Of course, it's good to make profits and all of that. It's fantastic for them. But what have they done, to help, the situation that we're all in right now? I don't know, donations, anything like that?
Before now, there has been a total overlooking of Africa and Nigeria, because these game devices manufacturers, Sony and all of them, probably didn't really pay attention to Nigeria and Africa. But with the current realities, I know how many messages I have received. I know how many phone calls. I know how many meetings I handle on a daily basis, talking to different people from all over the world, saying, "Oh, we are hearing this thing is happening in Nigeria. How can we be a part?" And then again, as part of some of the things that have happened because of the pandemic, just a week ago, we had the establishment of a continental federation for esports in Africa called the Electronic Sports Federation of Africa, and it has about 30 plus countries in Africa that are already members of that organization. So it tells you that there is a lot of focus on Africa, because even after that federation was founded, we have been receiving calls, messages, emails, LinkedIn messages say, "Wow, we love what you guys are doing. I know a federation. How can we partner? How can So we're beginning to see a scenario where that previous overlooking is now becoming everybody focusing on Africa. And Africa is the last frontier for esports. It's the only market that is, untouched, untapped, and the potentials are just huge. And people are beginning to see it now. And we are envisaging an influx into the African, and of course, Nigerian markets for esports and gaming.
So I was thinking, everyone is trying to contribute in their own little way of trying to help, people during this pandemic. And I believe I've seen a few reports about esports contribution as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Okay, so there is an event that is coming up. I'm not sure I'm at liberty to reveal it yet.
Yeah, the ones that have been done. You can talk about the ones that have been done globally as well. Too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We've seen charity events, that have been put together to support esports.
Right.
And I'm also going to use this opportunity to mention a Nigerian gamer who is attempting to break a Guinness World Record. I think it's tomorrow, 14th or so. He's in Nigeria, but he's based in an esports team in South Africa. So he plans to hold a record for the longest time playing video games. I think the current record stands at about 4 days. So he wants to exceed that, and of course there'll be donations, towards that attempt. And so he has decided that every proceed, from that attempt will go towards, helping to fight against the COVID pandemic. And also globally, I mean,
is he going to go to South Africa or
he's
going
based
to Nigeria? He's based in South Africa.
Yes.
But the money, is he going to distribute between South Africa and Nigeria or South Africa, or we don't know? Okay,
so in all sincerity, I don't know which community will be the beneficiary of that, either South Africa, but I trust him as a Niger boy. He has to.
Some of it has got to come to Nigeria. You were going to talk about the global, events that have been, put together to aid the fight against the pandemic.
Yes, there is the stay-at-home cup that was put together recently. FIFA also has an event that is ongoing, and at the root of that is for people to, as much as possible, stay at home. Don't say you want to go out because you just want to meet people. You can get busy at home. You can be engaged by playing video games, and of course, by the time you see your friends, you see other people, you can still network, you can still meet new people, you can still play the game that you love to play so much. And then before you know it, you're not too bored staying at home and you don't want to venture out. So by doing that, you're staying home, you're helping to fight the spread of the pandemic by not going out to contract it and possibly give it to other people also. So these are some of the initiatives that we're seeing globally from around the world. Even the NASCAR event and IndyCar Championship in the US, they had to cancel those events, and go the route of esports. So now we have eNASCAR. The IndyCar Championship also came up with their own esports event just to make sure that everybody stays home, and then we try and stem the spread of the virus at this time of our lives.
Interesting. We mentioned the sports minister earlier, and you also talked about the fact that since he's already into it, he's buying into the esports world. So it's a good one. Have you guys have a discussion, your federation? Have you met with the sports minister, having a discussion, maybe plans or way forward or something?
So we have some proposals that we have forwarded to the ministry, and we're engaging on that. But because there is no conclusion on that yet, I can't categorically say this is what and what. But of course, there's communication. We have made contact.
What's some of the proposals you guys have drawn out? Is this something? What can you?
So one of them is to actually spread the awareness and education of esports, to take Nigerians into the world of. It's not just enough if you're coming from a totally non-esports and gaming background. There are some rudiments that you need to learn. So we have those programs coming up where you would learn the rudiments of esports, how to set up an esports organization, how to be an esports athlete, how to stream your games, what it takes to be successful, the business side of esports and all of those. So we have those programs coming up. I can tell you confidently about those ones. They are on the way. And also there are programs, if not for the lockdown, we had a plan to actually run a national event, sometime in March, with esports. As part of our discussions with the Ministry of Sports. But of course, the lockdown puts a hold on all of that.
You can do it virtually. You can't. It's not possible.
So that's what we are resorting to doing now. So that we make sure that that event still holds, but this time around on the, online. So that at the same time we can still engage young people. In a week or two, those programs will be announced. There's one for the state, Lagos State, and there's another one for Nigeria. And there's also another one for the entire Africa. And let me also quickly give you this information for Nigerians that have been starved of football. We have football events that have been put together. This coming weekend, we have the maiden Afro-Caribbean Esports Invitational. 7 countries from Africa will play against 7 countries from the Caribbean, and Nigeria is one of those countries, So there's something to look forward to there. And also we have the EFA, the Electronic Football Association, and Nigeria for the first time also will be taking part in those events. So we have a lot of entertaining football games for Nigerians to watch. Forget about your Arsenal for now, your Chelsea. These are games that you can watch to, still catch trips with
Nigerian
your
football games. Is it MPFL? Or because they forget about Arsenal and the others. I just wanted to wrap it up there.
Okay,
Do we have any MPFL teams that will be there or something?
Well, as things are at the moment, we don't have Nigerian club sides, on these consoles.
Okay.
If you go on PS4 today, you can see Arsenal and Chelsea. You can't see any Nigerian team because Nigeria is not yet featured there. We're hopeful that Nigeria will be featured, and then we can actually play using our local teams here in Nigeria, but at the moment we still have to use what is available.
I want to see that. Okay, I want to see that.
I believe what Cecilia was trying to say earlier was is that the minister, since coming on board, has been meeting with a lot of federation presidents and stuff. Has been working, and perhaps you get to have your own meeting as well, so you guys can have a proper discussion.
Absolutely.
On the way forward for esports in the country.
Okay. On that note, I want to thank you so much for coming on the program this morning.
Time.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.